So we are gathered here today. My name is John Warren. I am the husband of Dolores Vanrensalier and pastor in San Diego, as well as a newspaper owner and publisher. We are here today to celebrate ceremoniously the designation that's been given to this site. And this is really more for the benefit of members of the board, the members of the foundation, and yourselves as the public, because of what's happened since 2013, when this was just a vacant lot, and Juneteenth was being celebrated by putting a plant under some murals that were on this back wall here. So we've come a long ways from that point. And so today we're celebrating a milestone in that activity. And what I would like to do is ask those of you who are here in the audience to stand, and I want to ask our board members of the foundation to stand, and they are going to lead us, the ones who are here, in our Pledge of Allegiance, because as you see, we have the American flag, and these flags are very symbolic and representative of what we do here, because it was in the name of freedom that such risks were taken. And so they don't have a microphone, and I will get us started, and we can all do this together. Let us begin. We pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you very much. We have to get those accolades in. Now, if you are standing a little bit longer, we know everybody doesn't know the words, but we want to at least attempt a part of a stanza to lift every voice and sing, because lift every voice and sing is identified as the Negro National Anthem, and the words are so important to what we celebrate here today and why we celebrate. And so I don't know if we have any great a cappella singers in the audience, but we will lift our voices and begin to do this. Let us, oh, we do have a group back here. We have singers, all right. So let us sing. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven rings with the harmony of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. We're going to quit there while everybody's ahead. All right? Thank you very much. You may be seated. And so, beneath these windy skies, we have a number of awards that are going to be passed out here today. And as you will notice, as you look at the bricks, you see names and you see people are still purchasing bricks, and they're done in remembrance of individuals. This is a part of a whole legacy that's being built here, and it's not completed. You will notice also that we are so fortunate. We were here back in October to dedicate the Freedom Bell, and we understand the significance of that bell, which has been over at Great Falls for so long. So this is a very important corner that we have going here. And one of the things we wanted to do at this point, Dolores and the board are really big on appreciating people who have put in efforts to make this happen. And, you know, we go way back to the beginning when the truck was parked over there, there was no gate, and there was snow covering this statue, that it was being unloaded as it came in from Colorado, where it was done by the sculpture. And so we were excited to have all of that happen. So what we want to do today is have some acknowledgments. We do have a few remarks that are going to be made, but this is more of an award ceremony, recognizing people who have done a lot to make this happen and to continue to build upon this. My voice will probably be the longest one you hear, and you can talk about me while I'm on my way to my plane, and it'll be okay. All right. So I would like to first by saying we always acknowledge our dear Congressman Pascal. He's not here today, but we know that he's been through this whole thing over these past 20-some years. He's been right there for everything. So we always include him. And that is a big thing. But we also have the Honorable Mayor of Patterson here, Mayor Vanrensalier, and we are going to present him with an award today, and we'd like to have him come over. This is not going to be one of those speech-making occasions for him, though. All right? That's not going to happen. He's going to take his award, thank us, and then we're going to keep going. See, I was a politician in another life, so I know how to handle that. All right.
That was good. That was good.
Okay.
That was good.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
You have to hold that up so everybody
Yes,
can
sir.
see it. There you go. See?
Yeah.
One more for the collection. All right. Thank you so much. Who said it couldn't be done, right? I know. All right. I tell you. I joined Politicians Anonymous 30 years ago, so I'm still in treatment. Okay, so we're gonna move on. Next, we have the president of the Patterson City Council, the Honorable Marissa Devila. Is she here? Council President? You want to accept it for? You can accept it. Okay. She's number 2, so he can do that for her. All right. Did you got it? Did she get
Just
it?
keep me away from the mic, seriously.
Like a
It's
magic
Mike,
drawing.
it's contagious.
Mike, keep me away from the mic.
Did you have an award for the president of the city council?
Oh, no. I'll share this with her.
They got one.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. And next we have the mayor of the city of Passaic, and I'm not sure whether or not he's here.
You want me to accept that?
Um,
I'll try to get to that mic.
Ron Vanrensalier, who's a part of the mayor's staff in Passaic, he's going to accept the award for it, and he's also doing the board. All right. Okay. Thank you. All right. And then we have, this is the guy that does the hearts. This is the man that's made everything happen. All right. He's the Hercules of this whole event. Tony Perez, where is he? Tony Perez. He's been the guardian, the keeper of the flame. Come on up. No, you can't get away with being back there. Okay. Tony is quiet and low-key, but all of you know he's the man that really made it all happen, right? He's the man. So there you go. Step right up. Yeah. Yes. All right. Thank you. Tony, you'd accept the rules.
Yes, I will.
You made it happen.
I broke the rule for my favor.
Mayor? Yeah. We'll talk about that. Thank you very much. It's been an honor to be involved, and I look forward to many more years of curating and being involved here. I mean, this is such a historic site. I often, when I get an opportunity to say it, I say it. We are who we are because of what happened here.
Yeah.
And it's very, very deep in terms of what it means. Ponder that for a minute. But I am extremely excited about being part of this, and I will continue to be part of it as long as you allow me to, Tom. Thank you very much.
Now, in the interest of everyone's job security, I'm going to break a rule and ask the mayor to come up and say a few words. Okay. Just wouldn't be right, you know. He really wants to. All right. Thank you. All right.
Didn't you see how reluctant I was to come up and speak, of course? You should time me, though. City council members usually have 3 minutes. Yes. Good afternoon, Patterson. First, I want to thank Dolores, Ron, all those who presented this to me. History is my passion. I was a history major at Seton Hall University, and I'm so glad that Patterson has such a rich history and that we played a prominent role in the Underground Railroad movement. And I always like to point out that it was neither underground nor was it a railroad. However, it was just two men here in Patterson that cared about human beings, and in the interest of humanitarianism, made sure that Mr. Huntoon and Mr. Vanrensalier came together, African-American man, white man, and made sure that people had a way to freedom, a path, I should say, to freedom. And here in Patterson, we celebrate Juneteenth proudly. A couple of years ago, I issued an executive order to declare it a holiday, and we have a whole host of Juneteenth activities that I want to extend an invitation to everyone to attend. On Saturday, we'll be ringing the Freedom Bell here. Tomorrow, we're raising the Juneteenth flag at City Hall at 12 o'clock, and we have our African Heritage Parade on Saturday as well, immediately after the event here at the Underground Railroad site. So I think my 2 minutes are up. I graciously accept this award, and thank you for celebrating American history here on hallowed ground.
Remember, never run for office against that guy. All right. One of the things is we have two generations here today. The generation of Dolores and Ron and Eric, their generation, but now the children are stepping forward to take their rightful place on the board and with the foundation and continuation of the legacy. And so the whole idea of the Underground Railroad Network, which the National Park Service oversees, encompasses some 695 locations throughout the country in 39 states, Washington, D.C., and the Virgin Islands. And so a lot of people were involved in terms of the movement, and this is just one of those sites here. Matter of fact, we understand that Frederick Douglass stayed at the home here on one occasion as he was fleeing north because of the pressure that was out to get him. And the people of Patterson, you can be so proud because there's so much history here. And this place just adds to the history of Patterson. Because as some of you might know, it was here in Patterson that Thomas Jefferson and Alexander Hamilton held that great meeting at Great Falls that led to the political parties we have today. They just don't want to say that. And so what we want to do now is I'd like to call upon a young lady who is going to bring some remarks. We refer to her as Amy Leandra, and she's going to bring some remarks where on the program you might see the name of Robin Kravitz. And Robin was the person with the National Park Service that shepherded and did so much of the work on this project, but she did it in conjunction with the help of people that are going to be mentioned, like in Amy's remarks, and with Jimmy Richardson. So Amy is going to come and give you some remarks, and then we're going to get on track. But we want to include as much of this as we can. Amy? Oh, okay. All right.
Hello. Good afternoon. I'm Amy Lenander. I'm the great-great-great-granddaughter of Josiah Huntoon. And I'm here today to share some words that are not my own, but that Flavia Elia wrote. So she's a professor emerita at Ramapo College of New Jersey. Flavia was instrumental in the research of this site, going back decades. When I first met her in the 90s, she co-authored Bridge Street to Freedom with Dolores Vanrensalier, and more recently was instrumental in the application to recognize the site officially. So she's unable to be here, but the following are some excerpts of what she wanted to share with all of you. Just some thoughts on the site. We celebrate today not because we've learned what we didn't know, but because what we knew, what some of us have always known, what was and always has been remembered and passed on and treasured among some of us, has now become credible to an ever-widening circle of believers in the realm called documented national history. We celebrate because one of the rules of such history is that because it is shared, this deeper, wider, more granular knowledge is bound to become not only more credible, but more granular every day. And it is the challenge of those history tellers still to come to make it so, and to change the way this history is told. Because it will. Because the history we know now tells us so much more than we ever knew, and tells it differently from anything we've been told. It also tells us what more there is still to know. And I want to know it, don't you? I want to know what it felt like in those times, not just in the country, but in this city, in those families, perhaps some of them politically divided, not unlike the community itself. Some hostile and full of meanness and mistrust, as well as some full of goodness and humanity and fellowship. I want to go back and reread the Fugitive Slave Law of 1850. Please, if you come away from this with any impulse to action today, let it be for you to do the same, to reread the content of the Fugitive Slave Law again and again. I want to understand what that law meant to fugitives, but also what it meant to those whose essential humanity was challenged to action by that cruelty and meanness, to perform almost unimaginable acts of human kindness and of love. I want to know more about those who did this kind of caring, and not just the men who are immortalized here, though they are great and deserve it. I want to know about the women, the Sarah and Ada Huntoons, the wives and mothers and daughters and housekeepers whose job past the entrance gate was to take fugitives into their decorous Victorian homes and bathe and feed and shelter them, to protect them. It may be easier to imagine now than it has been in years, this civil war, because it was a war of what we call civilians as well as soldiers, a war played out not just on the battlefields, but in the streets and the neighborhoods we stand in now. So let's imagine back to that other divided country, when not everyone, even in Patterson, saw the higher justice in the illegal activism being performed right here on the ground we stand on now, and all over this city. It took many acts of inspired inspiration, a capacity to dream that dream of higher justice we all aspire to live that story, but also to tell it and keep on telling it. We are doing that now, and that is the journey we have just begun, here and now. Now it is on the imaginers of the future to keep it going, to keep telling it better and better till we get it right. Thank you.
A website has gone up for the Underground Railroad Foundation, and Flavia's entire remarks will be made available on that website because it's a very powerful speech and there's a lot more to it. So we'll be doing that. At this time, we have on the program some Underground Railroad site staff appreciations. And what I'm going to do is call the names of the individuals. They might be here, they might not, but the actual awards are going to be presented at the dinner a little later this evening when we leave from here. And so, but we do want people to know. And this is important because Dolores was kind of hands on the ground with all of this. She was there as they were putting the bricks down. She was there as they were landscaping and gardening and all of these things that had to be done. And she has a very special appreciation for working with people who are hands-on. As a matter of fact, in Los Angeles, California, where Dolores oversaw a senior program, she's responsible for the creation of a rose garden, which is on the same list as the White House Rose Garden to this day. And flowers were put there in a community where people said nothing would grow. But indeed, it is being maintained and kept up. So she's got this recognition going on both coasts at this point. So I'd like to call the names of these individuals. If you're here, have you stand and we're going to follow up. First, Mr. Tom Smith, and then Mr. Arthur Lowry, and then Kiana Fortune, Elvis Durham, Victor. Is Elvis Durham here? All right. Thank you. Let's give him a hand. Still working the site. Okay. Victor Marte, Elisa Gonzalez, Yemeni Acosta, Mark Ardis, and Fran Campilonado. Okay, all of these individuals will receive their awards, whether they're at the dinner or later. And Dolores has put a special hand in doing the recognition. So we want to thank them. Let's give them a hand of applause. Even though they're not here with us, we appreciate it. At this time, we are going to ask Tony Perez and the mayor if they will come forward. This is the unveiling of the certificate that goes with this great event from the National Freedom Network. Where did they put it? Oh, here it is, okay. So, if you will stand over there by it, that covering that's on it lifts off very easily. Dolores is going to be over there with her. When we adjourn, we invite everyone to come up and to see this stamp. Remember, there's 695 such designated places in the country, and now we are among that list here. So this is indeed a great honor for Patterson, all right? So this is where, don't trip on the cord, everyone be careful. All right. You're posing for this great picture. Can't hear you, Dolores. I didn't hear you, so. Okay. This is a copy of the certificate. It's going to be made available at the community college. The community college is the official archive for the Underground Railroad. And it is also the place where Dolores gave the proceeds from her book. Much of the proceeds from the book go to the college to help continue. And so this is a copy of that plaque, and this will be hanging with the other outstanding things that Dr. Rose has at the college. All right? Thank you. You all watch your steps back there. I don't want to trip. The lawyer in me is always afraid of possible litigation. That's why I'm telling you. Okay. Now, at this time, I'm going to invite up to the podium another one of the great-granddaughters. This one is LaTanya West, who is a member of the foundation board now. And we're glad to have her come up, and she's going to speak, and then we're going to hear from the board members. And let me just say, while we're preparing to do that, this is the board behind us, but we also have a very outstanding board member emeritus with us, all right? And so we are just so excited. Sister Irma, I don't know why you're looking all over the place. Why don't you stand up? She's one of our first board members, and now she's board member emeritus, so she will always and forever be a part of what we're doing. So we thank you so much. All right. At this time, I'd like to call LaTanya West, who's one of our trustees, to come forward.
Good afternoon. As you heard, I'm LaTanya West. I'm the great-great-granddaughter of William Vanrensalier. The house is gone now. But in 1983, the rumored Underground Railroad site's walls had been torn down by the city, making room for a planned parking lot. In 1984, just a year later, my mother, Dolores Vanrensalier, had discovered on a trip to Patterson her maternal great-grandfather was an historic Underground Railroad conductor. Her DNA, 6 years before, had been documented. She was 44.3% African. She documented that her maternal black great-grandfather worked for abolitionist Josiah Huntoon in his spice mill. She knew from her mother that he was William Vanrensalier was Patterson's first black engineer, and to her great pride, now she knew he was an Underground Railroad conductor. Like all conductors historically on the Underground Railroad, he risked his life, leading many fugitive slaves to Huntoon's home, cellar. She deeply longed to hug those walls. I remember her saying that many, many times. She deeply wanted to hug those walls that stood guarding her proud, lost heritage. But she didn't know, as she rented that car in 1984 and headed towards Bridge Street, that historic Underground Railroad house was gone. All that remained was a barren, vacant lot. And I vividly recall just the decades-long journey that my mother embarked upon so many years ago, from the time I was a young teenager. And it has inspired me, just her passion for truth and her dedication to the legacy of this site, and to share it not just with Patterson, but also the state and now the country, and hopefully all over the world. So I'd like to share with you an excerpt from her book, Bridge Street to Freedom, just to give you a sense of how she felt all those years ago as she drove here and discovered the once vacant lot. In the dawn of that morning, she wrote, I stared in disbelief as I stood on the barren, vacant lot that had buried my proud Black history. The emotional pain of this double loss brought me to my knees. But as I knelt there, overwhelmed, the mystic aura of this vacant lot slowly began to fill me with deep peace and profound inspiration. Beneath my very feet, right here, was once a cellar where fugitive slaves actually hid. I knew, she wrote, I was kneeling on sacred ground. As never before, I heard the echoed words of the Star-Spangled Banner, but I didn't need the vision of bombs bursting or the battered flag still flying after a long night's battle of freedom. In the twilight of the morning, I could clearly sense all around me the sacrifices made here for liberty. The hushed valor was everywhere. In the buried cellars under me, long secret battles had been fought and won against slavery, against racism, against oppression. The courageous spirit of the brave fugitive slaves with my Black great-grandfather, his lantern leading them, his lantern, the light of his legacy, deeply humbled me. It was all here, together in constant danger with Josiah Huntoon and William Vanrensalier, made this historic corner of America truly free. Right here, where I was kneeling, was the land of the free and the home of the brave. Huntoon and Vanrensalier, white and Black together, left their mighty legacy. Both showed each of us how to summon the courageous moral character within all of us. Dolores Vanrensalier, Bridge Street to Freedom. Thank you.
And I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that we have another great-great-great-granddaughter, Alexander Vanrensalier. Alexander, please stand. No, you can't wave. You got to stand. All right. Okay. So they say the strong keep a coming. All right. At this time, we're going to hear from the board members. I do understand that we have been blessed with the fact that Mayor Laura is close by, and when he comes up, we're going to break the rule again and let him say a couple of words. All right? But until then, at this point, I want to call up Ron Vanrensalier, and Ron is the co-founder and treasurer for the Huntoon Vanrensalier Underground Railroad Foundation. Ron?
Hello? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ron Vanrensalier. I'm the great-great-grandson of William, the abolitionist. I first met Dolores at the City of Patterson Library portrait unveiling ceremony of abolitionists in November of 2000. As I walked into the ceremony, I immediately recognized a number of my family members and a rather sophisticated woman whom I believed to be Dolores. Standing beside Dolores was her daughter, Latanya. As I approached these two intriguing ladies, I overheard Dolores say to Latanya, "He's the one." In an instant, we were spiritually connected, and from that moment on, we began our journey together, introduced by our ancestor, William the abolitionist. 4 years later, I received a call from Dolores. It was a call to arms. The vacant lot was still vacant. She said she was calling me because she wanted to start a foundation that would have the purpose of turning the vacant lot into a great monument site. She said she wanted to honor both abolitionists, Josiah and William, and indicated that she would be calling Eric Lenander, Huntoon's great-great-grandson. Dolores told me that she wanted the foundation to eventually be a nonprofit. She indicated that she needed 2 people to start a small corporation and asked me, "Will you be a co-founder?" I was excited, and I said yes. Eric would ultimately be invited and would become the 3rd board member and co-founder. Dolores and I were both driven, and we spoke with each other on a regular basis, planning and carrying out Dolores' vision and working to fulfill her dream. At first, we concentrated our efforts on developing our articles of incorporation. We then contemplated and decided on asking 2 other individuals to join us, expanding our foundation to 5 members. I was really looking forward to working with Eric Lenander, Dr. Stephen Rose, and Irma Gorham. Doris's aim was to have the 5-member board work to establish our bylaws and to bring the foundation to life. Dolores was driven, she was relentless, and extremely passionate. She was on a mission, and her board was committed and all in. For each of us, the foundation became our priority. Together, the foundation planned and helped finance the Underground Railroad site to begin the historic work on the vacant lot. Dolores researched and decided on asking distinguished American Black sculptor Ed Dwight Jr. to design and build the monument. Barely 3 minutes into their first phone conversation, Mr. Dwight was committed and honored to help build the monument. Ed and Dolores spoke often. They worked closely together throughout the site's progress, on the beautiful bronze sculptures, to the details on the landscaping, plantings, and the placement of the legacy bricks. Meanwhile, as a donation fundraiser, Dolores invented the donated brick program that you see all around you. People from across the nation donated over 180 of their personalized bricks. After the site was completed, the foundation created the yearly Lantern Legacy Awards Dinner. The foundation honored those who helped us to fund and build the site, from mayors and other elected officials to community leaders, leaders who led so effectively, and to many other prominent persons and organizations throughout the country. The foundation also created the Huntoon Vanrensalier Scholarship Program, awarding thousands of dollars each year to qualifying students. What an incredible journey, Dolores. A journey of 22 years, from the portrait unveiling ceremony at the Patterson Main Library to this day, on this sacred ground, where we celebrate the National Park Service's inclusion of the Huntoon Vanrensalier Underground Railroad site into the network of freedom. From Los Angeles to Patterson, from Tobyhanna to San Diego, you know that, Irma, right? From sea to shining sea, God shed his grace on thee. Your dreams realized from a barren vacant lot to a great monument site, symbolic of the land of the home, land of the free and home of the brave. Not only did you discover your great-great-grandfather, Dolores, but you forever unearthed the mighty legacy of Huntoon and Vanrensalier. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring.
It's good to be reminded of where we came from, right? I believe it was Wadsworth that said that lives of great men all remind us we can make our lives sublime and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. They certainly are leaving footprints today. Another person that's left some strong footprints that I want to acknowledge, Mr. Jimmy Richardson. Would you please stand? And Jimmy has been a tireless warrior in this, from the whole application process to keeping up with everything every day that's gone on, and without him we wouldn't have been able to get all of this done. So we have a plaque for you, Mr. Richardson, and I'm sorry we couldn't make it gold, but this is as close as we can come. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. We appreciate you. All right. At this time, yes, I have to, I have another award. Okay. Is it now, Dolores? We'll wait for a moment. You know, I broke my rule before about speeches. I got to break it again because I called a name. He wasn't here, but he made every effort to be here. So I'd like to have Mayor Laura of Passaic come forward and give us some remarks. And he rushed to get here. And we have an award for the mayor. Here we go. And Your Honor, because of what you did to get here, we want to give you a chance to say a couple of words. All right. I think they had a 3-minute rule, but I told them they said you didn't need 3 minutes. There you go. All right.
Considering that a rule will be broken, allow me to be very brief. I am so very. Thank you, Mayor Sayer. Thank you. I think 20 seconds were just taken from me, Mayor. But allow me to say, being here in the great city of Patterson is an honor. To receive this award along such distinguished individuals and joining so many leaders who have worked so hard to represent those amazing principles and values that are being highlighted today. I consider to my left the great flag of the state of New Jersey, the flag of the United States of America, next to it in a flag that reads freedom. Freedom is a sacred right, and if freedom is to be sacred, it must be freedom for all, and that is what is represented today. Mayor Sayer, I thank you for your leadership. Congratulations on your most recent historic victory. Today I stand here again, I'll say, in the 3rd largest city of the state of New Jersey, but the first city, #1, when it comes to fighting for the rights of others and uniting. I thank so many, but obviously I want to thank you, Ron Vanrensalier, for your leadership, Commissioner Vanrensalier, to the Huntoon and the Vanrensalier families, as I consider the monuments behind me. 2 individuals holding lanterns, representative of lights, beacons to lead people down the right path. Sometimes this journey feels dark. The adversities that we face sometimes seem overwhelming. But when we are united, when we allow that amazing and most remarkable light to shine through us and to others, together we continue forward towards freedom and a greater nation and world for everyone. God bless you. Thank you. Forgive me if I went too far.
We don't forgive people for speaking too long. Just teasing. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. We have another outstanding award. I like to see people looking around. They don't know that they're next. But I'd like to call upon our board member, Emeritus, Irma Goins, that she would please stand. And we have an award for Irma. She was there from the beginning, and she just put in a lot of time. And these awards are special because they came 3,000 miles just to be here. Okay. Boy, that could go on somebody's magazine cover, couldn't it? Yeah, all right, okay. I'm glad I'm not running against either of you for anything. Okay. All right. Next, we have our most outstanding person on the board that's going to speak to us, and he has been one of the foundations of wisdom and insight. And he's almost like Solomon, but don't tell him I said so. Okay. I would like to call upon the co-founder secretary, none other than Eric Huntoon Leander. Eric?
Good afternoon, everybody, and if it hasn't been said before, thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many people with the interest in this very historic site. You've heard, my name is Eric Leander, and I am the great-great-grandson of Josiah Huntoon on my mother's side. Starting with his daughter Ada, who was born in the house that was here, her daughter Florence Clark, and my mother Ann T. Leander, we were all born and raised in Patterson. The three before me lived in Patterson their entire life, within 1 mile of this site. I was born maybe a little over a mile from this site. And I can clearly remember walking downtown with my mother, 5 years old, stopping at the main library and occasionally looking at Josiah's portrait that hung there, and then passing Near's drugstore, which took over the building here after the Huntoon family vacated it. And she told me that it was on the corner of Broadway and Bridge Street. Well, Bridge Street, as we know, doesn't exist anymore up here. It's down by the river, but not here. And which was our ancestral home and a stop on the Underground Railroad. She always pointed out where the lookout tower once stood on top of the building and how signals were sent by lanterns, as you can see, from Garrett Mountain over here, and other bits of oral tradition passed down from Josiah's youngest daughter, my great-aunt Jen, who was still alive in the 1950s. Our family, though, was pretty much on the periphery of the puzzle of how the Underground Railroad operated beyond our stop here in Patterson, mainly because of the difficulty in documenting the operation, which was not known for keeping written records. Trust but verify had not been invented yet. We mourned the tearing down of the house for urban renewal in the early 80s, and then it kind of fell off the radar as the family dispersed far and wide. I was the only member to remain in the circulation area of the Bergen Record newspaper and would send out articles about Patterson, including a few regarding the proposed Taco Bell or the new public safety complex in the area where Bridge Street no longer existed. In late 1996, wrote an article of how a group of local activists had been able to defeat the Taco Bell application, and the land was going to be designated as the Huntoon Vanrensalier Underground Railroad site. I called a reporter and asked how I could reach a Dolores Vanrensalier, who was quoted extensively in the article. And he must have been a good reporter, because his remark was, "Why do you want to know?" Good reporter. When I identified myself as a Huntoon descendant, a call was made and a major piece of this puzzle was added into the mixture. Now, as an aside, the Huntoon and the Vanrensaliers, being in Patterson for so many years, when I was in high school, I worked for a local grocery store and butcher store on the east side of town and delivered groceries to the Vanrensselaer family, which lived on East 26th Street. I was told by the store owner that the Vanrensalier family had been in Patterson for many, many generations. Also, Ron Vanrensalier, who was so eloquent a few minutes ago, he grew up about 3 blocks away from where I grew up, about 20 years later. So we didn't play together as kids. So the intertwining of the two families even continues now 170 years later. Once the site was designated, the next piece of the puzzle was, what do we do with it? We got to preserve, what do you do with it? It's sacred ground, and we want to make it available for all to see and use. Under Dolores's leadership, a working committee evolved from the Taco Bell group, which gained some structure. preservation was still the #1 priority, as the city was proposing a new parking garage either at the site right here or on Ellison Street, where Kumak Echo is, over there. A critical meeting took place during a snowstorm when Mayor Torres in his office. Our committee worked out a plan where our site would be framed on 2 sides by the new garage, and you can see this here, which would allow us to move forward. A footbridge would be built across Broadway from the site to Passaic County Community College. Eventually, the college established a United Underground Railroad section of a library, thus cementing another critical relationship. Another aside, across the street was Josiah Huntoon's. He ran a spice mill, and the factory was right across the street. So if his house was full, if there was no room at the inn, when people were coming through, he had an overflow. So everyone was taken care of that came through Patterson. Dolores also realized we needed a permanent structure to carry on our vision, and thus the Huntoon Vanrensalier Underground Railroad Foundation was formed to provide for community and educational activities. Our board is a mixture of community and family members and provides a steady, permanent presence for the preservation and maintenance of the site, and is another piece of this puzzle that keeps coming together. I am proud to have been a member of the committee and now a board member since the foundation's inception. The designation by the National Trails to Freedom solidifies the importance of the research that began over 35 years ago by one person. Oaks start with a little acorn. 35 years later, you get a great oak. I give my thanks to all who have played a part in this great occasion. I've met many great people over these 35 years, and we keep getting more and more on our outreach. Thank you again.
Well, we're right at time, and we're going to make a shifting of gears. I tried to force Dr. Rose to come up, but he said no, he doesn't want the food to get cold. So everybody here is invited across the street to the dinner. There's room for everyone here, and there's no cost, no gimmick. Just come on over, and whatever remaining awards we have, we're going to do them over there. Okay, so Dr. Rose, you sure you want to say anything? I don't know why Dolores is being so speechless. Dolores, do you want to say anything before we go across the street? You want to speak across the street? Okay. Well, in my pastoral capacity, let me just give you the benediction so that we can adjourn across the street. Dr. Rose, they know where to go when they get over there? Just over through the doors and follow the smell of the food. He said he'll lead you. Okay, we can bow for a moment. May the Lord bless and keep you, and may he make his light shine upon you and give you peace. Amen. Thank you so much.